Good evening. Welcome to the Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast. This is normally where I would do a dumb, very unfunny joke saying that we were sponsored by blah, 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 or whatever. The joke's never funny, but I still try every month. Instead of doing that, we've had kind of some bad news here in the wiki sphere of things. A very long-term editor and a friend of ours passed away recently. And it just seemed like the tone wasn't right. The energy's not right for bad jokes right now. So, we're not going to have the normal opening music. Instead, we'll have a very brief moment of silence. And that will be that. And then we will cut to me doing the normal opening for the episode. Hello, welcome to the Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast. I'm your host, BlueHighwind. And joining me tonight is Technoblade?
Hi, No, he's not here.
Oh, fuck.
Like he has like a. He didn't actually say why he's not here, but yeah. So hi, I'm SomeColorMage, and that's it. Nobody else responded to us saying if anyone else was present, so it's just us.
So if you wanted to be on this show and are not, it's your own fault. We gave you plenty of time.
Exactly.
I mean, you're sure that nobody else is here, right?
Most of the people who respond to the general casting call her offline. So
Okay.
yeah, I guess they are just not here.
How about that strange fellow standing behind you right now, SomeColorMage?
And I can't see through walls, so I'll just have to assume that if they want to be in, they can just try and yell loud enough that my microphone picks it up.
Okay, because, I figured you knew them. They were a strange cloaked fellow with blood seeping out of their eyes and their mouth, and their mouth open in what seems to be a silent scream. Do you think they want to be on the episode?
Well, hey, dude, if you want to be in, just, scream. This headset isn't, like, very sound cancelling. You'll probably pick it up.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I guess we're gonna go do the episode then. It is, April 2024.
Mm-hmm.
It's 2024. You ever think, like, 2024, that's, like, a real year? It's, like, hard to imagine what it is.
Yeah, the linear passage of time sure is something, isn't it? I'm fucking 31 now. It's
a lot.
Yeah.
Being in your 30s is a lot. I'm tired a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I never get enough sleep, even when I do get enough sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about it. That's really the only difference. I got gray in my beard. So anyway, speaking of things that are great, Final Fantasy. Have you heard of this?
Oh, yeah, I think I have.
You think you have? Okay. So this is this series called Final Fantasy. It's made by Square Enix, previously Square Co. Then they merged with a company called NX around the early 2000s. They've made 16 of these games.
At least, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. It would be weird if they made more than 16, considering they've, numbered all of them. It would be misleading if perhaps Final Fantasy XVI was not the 16th Final Fantasy, but really like the 45th or so. Yeah. So, this month we have Final Fantasy XVI DLC, which SomeColorMage you have played, right?
Yep, I've played through most of it, and I've looked up the one thing that I'm not going to do because I am not good enough at this game to clear like the optional end game super dungeon at the highest difficulty, and
Is that what they expect you to do? Beat it?
Yeah, and it's probably not worth it.
No, that doesn't seem worth it. The blood-soaked visage behind you, they're also shaking their head. They also agree that it's not worth it. Yeah, so we should probably...
I gotta agree with them.
Oh, yeah. They're a completely real person and not some figment of my imagination. So we should probably talk about news. So April 2024.
Should I just get the Final Fantasy XIV stuff that you probably don't care about out of the way first?
If I knew what you were talking about, it would be on my news roll. So yeah, you might as well do it.
Yeah. Okay, so first I just want to add a little addendum to something from last month when I was complaining about the Xbox version of the game.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, so Final Fantasy XIV has a swear filter in it, but for the chat, but you can turn it off on the understanding that if you start swearing around people who don't want to see it, you can get in trouble for it, and it's your own fault. But the Xbox version of the game has added a second swear filter that you can't turn off and is overly aggressive. Like, it bleeps system messages because it contains words that are things like it'll bleep the word Fanalan, which is one of the nations in the early game, because it's spelled with ANAL.
Well done.
It blocks some emotes because ST space D triggers the filter.
Wait, so, like, if I were to make a game set around the Panama Canal, I would not be able to release it on Xbox at all.
Yeah, that seems to be the case.
Okay.
Some users reported getting banned from Xbox for talking about free companies, which nobody knows how the fuck that even happened.
Free company? Oh, I remember. I saw this tweet.
Feature.
Yeah, they think it means like prostitution, basically.
Yeah. So anyway, this is actually it's astounding that Microsoft have managed to make this the worst version of the game, but yeah, that seems to have been the case.
And this is also ignoring that free companies is a mercenary term going back to at least the early modern period. So all you adventurers like rampaging through Italy or Germany in this period, I'm sorry, Microsoft thinks that you're prostitutes and not just war criminals.
Yeah. Right. And the other thing is because we are now in the lead up to Dawn Trail, and so we're having all of the final announcements and stuff. They have put out the PC benchmark for Dawn Trail. This is an important one because Dawn Trail comes with a big graphical update. So the system requirements have gone up, and also this is basically the first demonstration of the new graphics. And they kind of fucked it up.
The new graphics are bad?
Not exactly, but they did a bunch of really stupid things that make it look worse than it actually is. One thing that's a fairly common complaint with Final Fantasy XIV is that the character creator is lit in a way that is not representative of the rest of the game. Like, your character looks very different in that compared to in the game proper. And for this benchmark, despite having a significant lighting update, they did not update the character creator at all. So it's got this old terrible lighting combined with the new graphics, and it makes everything look even more off, because in the old lighting system, they compensated for some of its limitations by baking in a lot of lighting. So so things like eye reflections and stuff in old models are just drawn on the character's eyes. No longer the case. They accurately model that now. So in the character creator, because the lighting is shit, no matter what your character looks like, they're dead inside.
Huh. So it's not as bad as Pokemon Go, then?
No, it is. No, nothing can be as bad as that. That just that is a flailing company deciding that they need to remake the character models on a budget of 5 cents.
If nobody knows, this is a big controversy with Pokemon Go, where all the character models have been shockingly redone in an entirely different sort of art style. And one of the main complaints is that no characters don't have hips anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and like there are a few in 14. There are a few model differences that look kind of incorrect to people. Which, yeah, though. So yeah, there are a couple things that I think, but like that's the main problem, that the lighting, especially in the character creator, doesn't really work right. And Yoshida just outright said, like, yes, there are some problems with this. We will re-release the benchmark after we have fixed the lighting in the character creator, because we didn't think that was necessary, but yeah, they were very obviously wrong about that.
Yeah, Yoshi P, very popular figure this time. You know what? I think we're overdue for Final Fantasy XIV to have an enormous, hateful, let's just admit, alt-right backlash against it. It's kind of the last game in town where that hasn't happened yet. It seems like we're due for some real drama.
Yeah, considering this is the expansion where we're going to the world's equivalent of Latin America. That seems like a great time for that to happen.
Yeah, considering that, like, right now there's controversy regarding a game that is mostly just about ass and tits, but yet not enough about ass and tits enough. There's already basically like writing campaigns that they could go and fix minor things regarding the vaginal bones. That old canard.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, for fuck's sake!
This is Stellar Blade, if nobody knows. Which, by the way, I would have played that game, but it seems like it's secretly a Souls-like. It's not. It doesn't play anything like Bayonetta. Like, I don't know why you don't make a Platinum game. There should be more Platinum games out here. There's plenty of goddamn Souls games in the world. There's even a Final Fantasy Souls game now.
Yeah, like, honestly, shoving tits and ass into your game is such a value-neutral thing. Like, I don't care whether or not you want me to play it hard or not. I just want it to be good. Like, you know, we have Nier Automata as, like, you know, almost a gold standard of being a good game that also just constantly shoves ass in your face.
Yeah. I mean, literally, the camera's, like, pointed at ass the entire game.
Yeah, exactly.
So speaking of Yoshi P, some other news reports is this is being reported by Games Radar. He was talking about his next project. Oh, you know, actually, I think this is Koji Fox. Sorry, Koji Fox was saying that Yoshi P is done with Dark Fantasy and wants to do something light with his next project.
That sounds very much like Yoshida. Like he seems to very much embody the kind of idea that Sakaguchi had late in his Square-related career, where he wants Final Fantasy to be very experimental, very different. And yeah, like, for all the things you can say about 16, you can definitely say that it's very different from the standard Final Fantasy experience. And I don't think people can point out that, like, you know, he's just like into this really dark stuff, because I mean, compare 16 and 14, it's like night and day.
Is 14's tone consistently more lighthearted? I kind of thought it, like, jumped around.
Like 14 covers some pretty heavy topics, but it does have a kind of levity to it throughout. Like, it is like 14, I'd say, consistently takes a more hopeful tone for things. Even if things get shit, they will get better if we put work into fixing it.
Okay. Yeah, and 16 kind of ends up in that same territory mostly, where it's kind of
16 does, but like that first half or so of the story is fairly cynical. It's not until Ultima actually starts showing up that it starts kind of reorienting itself into a very shonen anime style ending. Honestly,
Yeah, and most of what you do in that game when you're not doing shonen anime stuff is propping up the petite bourgeoisie, I guess. You know?
yeah.
Kind of building capitalism in the middle of this dark. Yeah, it's not great. 16, whatever. Bigger news is, I guess, is kind of actually the biggest news in the entire month. So Square Enix kind of had a bit of a shake-up in terms of their status. So some directors and producers have been upgraded as executive officers within the company. Mm-hmm. So these include Takeshi Nozue, who was the CG director of Kingsglaive and Final Fantasy XV. He was also co-director of Final Fantasy VII Advent Children. Takamasa Shiba, producer of Diofield Chronicle and Drakengard 3. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth director Noaki Hamaguchi. And Team Asano leader. What's Team Asano?
Octopath Traveler and the other 2D, 3D games.
Yes, and if you're wondering why it's called Team Asano, it's because the leader is Tomoya Asano. All these guys are now executive officers, not CEO or business officer or anything like that. I'm not sure what this means. They get to sit in on the Organization 13 meetings and have very tall chairs, I guess.
Maybe they're just putting more people at the top position and stuff, because the heads of the 4 business units, like the executive producers, they're on the board of directors and stuff, and anything in their business units goes through them. Previously we didn't think Final Fantasy 17 could possibly be a business unit 3 joint, because Yoshida has explicitly said he's not doing that, and anything under Unit 3 has to go through him because he's the head of the unit. If they're bringing more people up to that level, maybe they're going to start splitting stuff up more. I don't know what exactly we're going to be able to make of this until their next financial report and they describe what they've actually done.
Yeah, so Katase is on this list already. Yeah. And a bunch of other,
Katase is head of Unit 1. So
Yoshi P is on here as Unit 3.
Yeah, head of Unit 3. Yeah.
So I'm guessing there might be some stock options involved in this. This might be their way of holding talent within board. None of these people are going to go run off the Final Fantasy 15 guy, whose name is currently escaping me. Who's the director?
Tabata.
Tabata. Who I think last we saw of him, he was doing an AI game about the Olympics or something.
Yeah, I think we had something about him pop up a couple months ago. Let's see if I can find it again.
I'm gonna Google
back at the beginning of February, JP Game announces their cutting-edge RPG for adults, Shala.
Oh, Shala. Okay. Inshallah.
If something, JP Games handles the overall planning and development of the game using their proprietary middleware, while AI and sales company Quantum Solutions owns the intellectual property and provide the support necessary. This sounds like it's going to be fucking stupid.
Yeah, I was not able to find anything about their AI game that came out in December. It seems like that came and went, and nobody played the dang thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, Yuji Naka is in the news again. This would be the former...
related to the previous thing.
Yeah, former Square Enix employee, creator of Balan Wonderworld. If I am saying that right, because there's a way you want to say it that's not right. It was Balan Wonderland, I think.
Yeah, it is Wonderworld.
Wonder
not Wonderland.
Is it Wonderland or Wonder World?
It's Wonderworld.
Wonderworld. Okay, all right. I said it right the first time. He also made a game called Sonic the Hedgehog, which is significantly more popular. Currently not working on that because he's had quite a few legal troubles. Was sentenced to 30 months in prison for insider trading. Did not end up serving any of that time, I believe, but did have to pay large fines. Yes.
Yeah, I think he's just on probation or something at this point, because, yeah.
Anyway, he got really mad at a Square Enix employee who is a top Dragon Quest producer, Yu Miyake, who I think is in the Square Enix Executive Organization 13, correct?
Yeah, he got moved to essentially being head of mobile, I think.
Oof, that's not a job I want. But
but that's still like a huge promotion. Like you go from being in charge and not the sole person in charge of a single franchise to being basically the head of one of their, something that Square keeps insisting is one of their key vectors, but they constantly fuck up their mobile games. So, maybe they think he'll be able to fix it. Who knows?
Yeah, he insists, Naka, insists that Miyake lied in court documents. The quote here is, "Finally, I was hoping he would be gone soon because he's the kind of person who would submit a note with a lie, in parentheses, with evidence, end parentheses, to a court of law. I've never met him, but the new Square Enix president might be a good person." Seems like this is something he tweeted. Didn't Naka plead
guilty?
He did, yes. Yuji Naka did plead guilty.
Yeah, so, I hope whatever you're trying to do works out for you, because, frankly, I'm pretty sure that is a slam dunk libel case if anyone wants to pursue that.
Yes, it actually would be libel, as a matter of fact, if he did not, in fact, lie under oath. But it's possible. Let me go and give Yuji Naka the benefit of the doubt, because he did make Sonic 2006. He deserves some benefit of the doubt. He created one of the most hilarious games ever made. I think he left that project halfway through, and that game. He took a bunch of their stuff to make Sonic and the Secret Rings, which. Yeah, that's a worse game than Sonic 2006. I'm just gonna say that right out. It's a much less interesting game. You honestly have a point. Sonic 06 is interesting in how bad it is and probably has better writing. Yeah. So, alright, let's say Yuji Naka did the shit. He did the insider trading. No one's disputing that fact. Perhaps there are some extenuating circumstances that could make his argument a little bit better, where he could have gotten a lesser punishment from the Japanese law system, and he believes that this guy lied to him, or lied to the court. So it is possible that he did the thing, and this guy actually did lie, and that Yuji Naka would have had a lesser sentence if this guy had not lied. But the more likely solution in this case would be that Yuji Naka did the shit, seems to be a very difficult person with a lot of personal issues, and is lashing out. Yeah, this isn't the first time he's been spiteful towards people he previously worked with on Twitter. So, God, remember that time where he's he had a photo of one of his own, one of his old work teams, and he'd scribbled over one of the people because he was one of the higher ups working on Balan, and he absolutely hates everyone who worked on Balan. I think Balan with him now. He crossed out their eyes or something. Yeah. It was wild. It's hard to be the most petty bitch in the gaming industry, but he makes a really good crack at it. It also needs to be said, he is remarkably loud and aggressive about all this, considering up until 5 years ago, the expectations of Japanese game producers is that they said nothing at all off the record that was not triple, quadruple checked by management according to the company line. even when there was major beef. Like, you could think of like when Kojima got fired by Konami.
Yeah.
He still has never said word negative about Konami's management, and everyone knows that they fucked that up enormously, and they are
like pretty much all of the bad PR from that was entirely on Konami's own words.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they were more petty about it than he was.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that wraps up our latest check-in on Yuji Naka. We'll be back as this story develops, considering we've been talking about this for almost a year now. So, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We've done multiple episodes on it now. There may be more in the future. Who knows? There was a patch, 1.030, which is supposed to fix the bugged platinum. One of the mini games is impossible to complete 100%.
What happened is that the first patch that they put out glitched the ultimate party animal side quest, so that like the bit where you have to play G-Bike, it would never actually mark as done. Yeah. And so they made another patch that fixed that. And also a few other things that I'm probably not remembering.
So according to... actually, IGN is reporting Games Radar, so I might as well look at the Games Radar article. This is the trophy is Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
It's the ultimate party animal side quest.
Yes. So if you can't do that, then you cannot platinum the game. Now, this seems to be a problem that would affect like 9 people, considering this game is hundreds of hours long if you try to 100% it. But those 9 people did pay $75 for this game. That's American. If you're an Australian, it costs something like $300,000, I think. That's the exchange rate.
Roughly 115, I think. Unless it's a Nintendo game, in which case it just costs like $70. Oh, wow. Because Nintendo does not know what regional pricing is.
Oh shit, you gotta send me Nintendo games, dude. Actually, you know what? Probably by the time you ship it, it doesn't add up anymore. But I wonder if I could order from Australia. That might end up actually being cheaper. Crazily enough.
Yeah, like Nintendo in Australia pretty much universally just takes their American price and adds 10 to it. So like if it's something that's like $30 or so American, it's a worse deal in Australia, but it's full price games, it's a better deal down here.
You know, the yen is crashing right now. You guys would really do me a solid if the Australian dollar were to crash like to, I don't know, like a quarter of its current price. I could get so many games. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so they fixed that bug. I think there still are reported issues. People are still a little bit upset trying to 100% that game, if memory serves. I think you have to like restart a campaign for one quest that's bugged in some way.
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me, but like in the post-game chapter select, you can just tell it to reset all of the quest status when you restart a chapter, so that's not too big a deal.
All right, so maybe that's what they're upset about, that you lose your campaign, like your quest status, and you have to go and reset from the start of the quest. I mean, if you want to talk about long-delayed like quest fixes, Fallout 4 recently got patched. This is not a Square Enix game, not a Final Fantasy game, but in their recent patch, they were doing quest fixes. So, like, that game's like 8 years old, and they're still fixing quests that are bugged and are in some way impossible to complete.
Yeah, Bethesda games are just a huge fucking glitch fest.
Aren't they? Are they not?
Yeah.
So, a couple merchandising news. There's a Square Enix Pets brand coming out. You can go and dress up your dog in ways that look like Nomura stuff. This one dog looks like it's holding a Buster Sword a little bit. It's called SQEX Pets brand. The items were supervised by Tetsuya Nomura. So there you are. If you want to go do that. There's a logo of Red 13 hugging Kate Sith. Other merchandising thing. There's a Tokyo Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon. That's coming west. There's a board game of that now. That will release... When is this supposed to release? June 20th, if you pre-order now. Also, in largely uninteresting, but it's still happening news, they are making a board game based on the Moogles from Final Fantasy XII.
Okay, well, at least it's 12 and not like the fucking 7 Rebirth Moogles. Fucking horror show.
They are a horror show. They're very disturbing. And the last thing, we've kind of avoided talking this topic because it seems to be mostly speculation, whatever, but there were like full-blown games journalist articles looking into this issue. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth sales. Nobody knows how well it's sold. All anyone seems to have is supposition and good guesses. So, Daniel Ahmad, who is director of research and insights at Nico Parker's, tweeted saying that the game was underperforming. That has not been collaborated by anybody, whether it's reaching below Square Enix expectations. It is selling less than Rebirth, but that's really not a surprise for anyone considering this is a game coming out on the PlayStation 5 versus the PlayStation 4.
Also, it's a sequel. It's not.
Yeah.
It is very unlikely that it would hit the same. It would hit the same pace. Like, so what? 7 remake was $3.5 million in about a week.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Rebirth
16
was
doing,
the guess seems to be that it's doing maybe about half that.
Yeah, and like, so first of all, we never get exact numbers from Square. It is very weird that they haven't done any milestone posts because they do like doing those. That's how we know that 7 Remake did $3.5 million in 1 week and 16 did about $3 million in 1 week. But they haven't said anything about Rebirth. Half that, so what, about 1.7 million. That would still make it the most successful game at the given time period. It's like people were talking about the other competitors in the thing that's they're all talking about selling well, and it's like Atlas realizing that Persona 3 Reload selling 1 million in any time frame is just a runaway success by their standards.
Yeah, based on some Sony PlayStation sales figures for like February, I think it was the second best-selling game behind Helldivers.
Mm-hmm. Right, and Helldivers. When did Helldivers come out? Because I don't think they were in competing release windows.
No, this is February, which is kind of useless stats-wise because that's like... Because
7 Rebirth was only out for 1 day in February. Yeah.
Sorry, Helldivers 2. My apologies to all the you Helldivers fans out there. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came in 7th on this list.
Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League currently has fewer current players than Marvel's Avengers.
I am looking forward to that game coming on enormous sale, and I will beat the whole thing in like a week. I'm waiting for it to be down to like $15.
But yeah, ultimately, aside from milestone posts, Square basically just breaks it down to their expectations, which is just did it make a profit or not, and I guess we'll find that out in their next financial update.
It seems the only person that's confident to say this game is underperforming is Daniel Ahmad. No one else is out there willing to bet their ass on that claim. So I guess we'll find out once they do their yearly stock stuff That should be due. We might be talking about that next month.
Yeah.
I think the second quarter ends soon. Does it not?
Yeah. I've also got one more 7 remake kind of thing, because like we did mention Ultimania a couple times in the last podcast, and translations have been trickling out. And in the Rebirth Ultimania, Katase has said that 7 Remake Part 3 will likely be the last time he's directly involved with a Final Fantasy game.
Oh, I don't know if we ever announced this as news either. Speaking of that, Katase and Nomura were tweeting out and having interviews. It seems that their plan is to have 7 Part 3 out by 2027. Also, the script is largely already done, and they might already start voice acting stuff.
Yeah, they are absolutely aiming for the 30th anniversary.
So if the game really was enough of a failure, it doesn't seem like it's stopping Square Enix from trucking forward with the third game. Probably too much invested in it anyway.
Yeah, at this point they aren't going to stop. There was also something that Nojima tweeted out, and is talking about that some the Jungian theory and Yogacara can help understand the world of 7 Remake. So basically just kind of confirming what people figured out, that those alternate worlds in the game are not alternate timelines. They're basically some sort of manifestation of the collective unconsciousness, which in this case would be the live stream.
Yeah, I think it was posted as every fan's interpretation of what had happened in the game. So, in my universe where Sung and Rufus Shinra absolutely die, there is somewhere an alternate universe where that happens.
Like, it sounds almost like he's trying to draw a bit of a parallel between the live stream and the far plane, which is completely unsurprising.
Yeah, I don't think it works. They should stop doing that. Far plane's a different thing. It doesn't need to be compared to the live stream. Though if you do want to compare it to a different Final Fantasy thing, there's a thing called Final Fantasy The Spirits Within, which quite literally has the live stream. And Alien Ghosts. Wait, oh shit. The G Natak people, they're the ghosts from Final Fantasy Spirits Within. How did I not put that together? The aliens that are invading Earth in that movie, that's the G in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's the exact same plot line. Have you seen this movie?
No.
You've never... Oh, man. We might have... Maybe that's what we got to do as a filler episode. Like, I'm going to make you watch this thing, and then you can understand. Alright, so... We're going to have to do a big deviation into Final Fantasy Spirits Within. So, Final Fantasy Spirits Within is set like 20 years into the future, which at that time means it might actually be set in 2024-ish. So the Earth is a apocalyptic wasteland because we've been invaded by alien ghosts. These are ghosts of a dead alien world, and weapons don't work on them because they're ghosts, but if you get touched by them, you die. So not great times. These alien ghosts cannot interact with the Gaia spirit force that the main character people are working with, and it turns out that there actually is a living live stream equivalent that they call Gaia, the Gaia hypothesis that, Square Enix was really, really into in the late 90s, early 2000s. So, I don't actually understand the plot of this movie all that well. A whole bunch of stuff happens. But eventually they manage to go and heal the evil alien ghost stuff with the power of love or something, and Alec Baldwin dies. Also, Steve Buscemi dies, and he's the only good part of that movie.
Right.
Yes. So I think it's your homework. You're going to have to go watch this movie for Final Fantasy VII Part 3, because it may actually be essential viewing to understand what the hell's going on.
Okay.
Alright, I think that's all our news, alright?
I think so.
You think so? Okay. Alright, so we should probably move on to what is our semi-main topic here. Final Fantasy XVI had new DLC. It came out, when did that come out? Sometime this month.
Yeah,
Drop my phone.
Would have been the around the 18th.
Yeah, this is called Rising Tide.
Mm-hmm.
It's set in Mysidia. Not that Mysidia, different Mysidia. You get to explore the parts of the map that were clearly there and no one ever talked about in the game. And, this is where Sarah's from. Or no, not Sarah, Jill. My God, I don't know what happened with that. There's, Leviathan. You get to meet them. And it turns out the Leviathan's icon or dominant is a baby.
Mm-hmm. Yes, this is, do you know that, that meme where, like, there'll be a obviously lopsided poll or just a general idea of a conflict on Tumblr and someone will respond with the image hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby?
No. I never was into Tumblr like that.
Like, because, the story of this DLC is like, what if Square Enix saw that image and thought, actually, that's a fair fight? Because that baby can fucking throw hands. That is a strong ass baby.
Well, you don't get to fight the baby. You only get to fight Leviathan itself. You do fight the baby when it transforms into Leviathan, but you never get to fight an actual baby. Which, I'm just gonna call them cowards for not doing that. So, do you want to describe the plot of this thing better than I did? Because I barely fall. I did not play this DLC, by the way. I'm not playing any more Final Fantasy XVI.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just go over it quickly because, like, there is not much story substance to this, to be honest. After everything's nearly done, and both of the Final Fantasy XVI DLCs basically take place just before they leave for the final boss fight. Clive gets a request from like one of the leaders of Mysidia, and like some 70, 80 years ago, her ancestors froze baby Leviathan in time because they weren't able to figure out how to deal with the baby having a tantrum that could basically flood the entire region, and she realizes this is an absolutely horrible thing and wants Clive to try and fix it. And so, like, Jill comes along because Mysidia is in the Northern Territory, so it's her homeland. And while she still barely does anything, it's kind of helpful because, as it turns out, being able to freeze time is an ice power, so she's able to help using her Shiva magic to undo that.
She's not the only Shiva dominant. There's now a dark-haired tall lady.
The previous Shiva helped freeze the baby.
Who is she? The baby's mom? I was unclear at this watching these cutscenes. I don't think so. All of the dominants are like associated with ancient tribes that lived near one of the mother crystals, and like the Mysidians are so Leviathan is a Mysidian because the Mysidians are the descendants of the motes of water, which I believe are associated with the crystal in southern Waloed that fell like ages before the game happened, and they fled because they lost their crystal and the Church of Grigor was trying to persecute them for reasons, and so like they fled to this area in the Northern Territories where the various ruling tribes of the Northern Territories didn't care, let them live there, and they cast this spell that caused them to appear invisible to anyone outside them, which is why the sky's not purple in the DLC, because like they also hated the purple sky and figured out how to adjust the spell so they could also just hide the purple sky from themselves. You cast a spell on your skybox and then everything's much better for it.
Yeah, they cast a spell on the skybox.
So the only major character added is Shula, the tall, dark-skinned previous Shiva dominant. I don't like calling her dark-skinned as her main character trait, but it does seem to be her main character trait, honestly. It doesn't seem like she's got much of one.
I don't think there's much of substance in pretty much anything added. Like, this, like, I mean, yes, it's, I mean, well, story-wise anyway, I think the stuff they added to the game is good, but like, it's hard to say I cared much about this aside from the inherent just funniness of the fact that Clive's fighting a baby.
That is funny. One thing, like, it seemed like this was going to be setting up like another chance for them to do Jill right, because this is now her third backstory. Like, originally she's from Clive's country, then she's from the Iron Islands, basically, and now she's from Mysidia. So this is her third place she grew up now. It still seems like they've done nothing.
Not Mysidia specifically. Like, I mean, this one isn't actually a change. She is from the Northern Territories. She has to be because she's a dominant of Shiva. So she is descended from the motes of ice that lived in like the far northwest. Like, Mysidia's just this little enclave in the east that nobody cared about.
I mean, they had a whole freaking dominant. Like, they had a ice goddess, so you'd think that people would have cared about them. They'd be a major military power, whatever.
Well, no, they don't care. They don't care about Mysidia. Mysidia's just some far-off place where these bunch of refugees from the other continent now live.
Okay, but I'm just saying that if I'm a nation with, let's say, the magical equivalent of a nuclear bomb, everyone's gonna start caring about me because I got nukes. Anyway, Jill, it does not seem like they've done the major fixes to that character to make her in any way relevant or important to anything. Is that fair to say?
Like, like, the problem wasn't the fact that she never does anything, because she does do things. It's just that she barely appears outside of directly doing a thing, and that is the case. Like, aside from her, like, figuring out that she can use her powers to undo the time freeze, she just kind of disappears from the story.
Yeah, that's a shame. I don't expect much from my main heroine of a Final Fantasy game. Like, my expectations, they're not inflated to ridiculous levels. I'm not expecting like an Academy Award winning film here. But let's just say they did below the bare minimum. Like, infinitely below with Jill. And I don't think this DLC fixes those problems. And if you want well-written female characters, you have to go to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which has 3 of them in the main party. Doesn't seem that difficult for them. You just gotta consider your female characters as people. I'm still mad about this. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, I never could have guessed.
Yeah. So, there's... I mean, watching the cutscenes, looks like the fight against that ice dude was a pretty decent boss fight.
Yeah.
Then you fight Leviathan, and that goes on for like an hour.
That fight is just incredibly difficult. Like, it has one part that's just an incredibly strict damage race. Even on normal difficulty, I screwed that up several times because you don't have to be like perfect, but you have to basically be constantly on the offense. And during that phase, Leviathan is just throwing everything it can at you, and you gotta keep dodging everything. While Soken is just spamming Leviathan's leitmotif from Final Fantasy XIV in the background, because he does that a lot in the DLCs. He makes references to 14 soundtrack a lot.
He seems like a guy that, like, I'm not saying that he doesn't come up with original stuff, but like, he really likes reusing things.
He likes leitmotifs.
Like, he uses the main Final Fantasy theme like a billion times in the 16 soundtrack.
Yeah.
And also, he brought back the old riff from Final Fantasy 1 through 6. The
Yeah.
That's in the not the major. I think that's major boss fights in 16.
It's like it was like a mini boss thing, I think.
Yeah,
The
not
one
major
that has
boss.
that starts with the really slow dun 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 dun.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that song. Yeah. Yeah, that's like a dungeon mid boss theme.
When you fight Tonberries in this DLC, that plays.
Also, people have realized that the Tonberries in this DLC have for some reason have real fat ass.
I thought what people were looking at was it looked like they had balls. Like you can see between their legs, and there's something going on there.
It could be, but it's directly touching the tail, so
I don't know. It's just weird to look between Tonberry's legs like that. Also, the Tonberries have long arms, like muscular arms.
Yet the Tonberries do look really creepy in this.
I think Yoshi P was out there. He was talking about how, like, we had to think really hard about how to depict Tonberries in our serious, gritty Final Fantasy for adults. And it's like, it could not be a bigger contrast to how Nomura handled Red 13 in 7 Rebirth, where everyone's wondering, like, how's he gonna ride a chocobo? We have to think about all this thing. And then Nomura's like, just have him sit on the freaking chocobo like a person. It'll be great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, let's see if I can find it, because like they had there's something like the artists had created a design for the Tonberry that for the base game is like a kind of zombie, and they decided no, that doesn't work. So yeah, there were no Tonberries in the base game, and like this was another crack at it.
If anyone's wondering, like, they don't understand, the Tonberry design has never changed in any of these games. Going back to, like, Final Fantasy IV. No matter how high the graphics have gotten, they've always been these cartoony guys with stubby little arms and short little knives that one-hit kill you.
Yeah, and this is kind of like that, but stretched out.
Instead, they're like Tonberries, but like the really creepy looking mutant shadows in Kingdom Hearts 1 at the very end. You know what I'm talking about? The ones that are like tall and like big.
The Neo Shadows.
Yeah. Those ones. I don't like looking at those ones either. It's like if Tonberry is like their third evolution, but they also turned out to be fighting types. And everyone's disappointed.
I mean, at this point I'm just thinking, what else is there to talk about story-wise? Like, it is not very substantial. It is so much more a gameplay-oriented thing than a story-oriented thing. Like even the sort of epilogue there's there is basically just a thing that ties the two DLCs together. I don't care.
Oh yeah. There was some rumor that they were gonna like unlock a bonus ending, or you'd have like some sort of alternate final boss now. That has not happened. As far as I can, the only thing you get out of doing both DLCs is you get a final summon power where you use who's the bad guy in this game? I forgot.
Ultima.
Ultima. Doesn't he have another name?
No, it's Ultima.
That's it? It's just Ultima? Okay.
I mean, the final boss form is like Ultimalis or something.
That's it. There you go. Because my brain went to Barthandalus. I'm like, that can't be right. It's some weird Latin thing. Yeah, Ultimalis. I think that's actually what you get. You have like Ultimalis's power. So you got big old wings.
Yeah, like that. That reward rules. Like his abilities are really good, and his general thing is that you can fly in battle.
Awesome. What did you think of Leviathan's kit?
I think it's interesting, and also that there were a lot of buffs around the board. So, like between Leviathan, Ramu, and Bahamut, it's entirely viable to have a mainly ranged build for Clive now.
That is interesting.
Leviathan's skill sets. It also does take something to heart that like the most interesting icon in the base game was Odin, because you can change your basic attack string, and yeah, Leviathan and Ultima both do that. Leviathan, you basically change your weapon into a gun, and Ultima has all the flying stuff, and these do tend to be so much more fun to play around with. Like I wish more of the game was like that. Basically, it is once again that they showed some sort of potential and never went all the way with it, which is what I said back in the review podcast. There's lots of promising things in this game that they never fully deliver on.
I'm going to say Kingdom Hearts 3 did a better job with its weapons and kind of kits with its various Keyblade moves versus the way Final Fantasy XVI did it. And that game has elements in it, so, turns out you can have that in an action RPG.
Yeah, but hey, at least the shot lock in 16 is usable now.
Was it not usable before? I don't even remember.
It sucked in the base game. Like they buffed the hell out of that one in
How do you get the shot lock powers in that game?
It's Ramu's feat.
Oh yeah, I don't think I ever used that one. I just use Ramu's like AoE moves. 90%, like the best moves in that game for most of the time are just using AoE because you can get rid of big mobs of guys because your allies don't do shit. Is that it for gameplay advancements, or do we got anything else on this DLC?
So there's an event that unlocks Ultima. First of all, like I really feel like that. Yeah, they did originally experiment with the idea of changing the ending, but then kind of backed out of it because it's like Ultima decides that well, now that he's going to give you a taste of your fate if you fall to him. It's like this doesn't really make much sense. That like this is basically the hard stop of the writing. Like there is nothing after this.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like you could do a Final Fantasy XVI sequel, and you could fix all the things that are not 100% clicking. I think another swing at that combat system would be really cool. I don't think this DLC does that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, you do also unlock this 20-stage gauntlet of fights that you're scored on, and it's as fine as all the other arcade mode stuff. If you're on the hard difficulty and you get S rank on all the fights, you do unlock a 21st fight, which unfortunately that's just a rematch against the Shadow Clive fight,
Oh.
which
we did that already.
he does have a few more things in his moveset, but it's like it is very much. I don't see how that could even potentially be worth it.
Yeah, that's disappointing. It's like, all right, here's the final bonus thing. If you do this difficult challenge, it's just fight the same boss that was already in the game, and honestly was less interesting than many other kinds of dark version bosses. Like it's no Dark Link from Ocarina of Time, you know?
It's more interesting for what Clive himself does in that fight. So like there's not much point to there's no much point to that fight if Clive doesn't accept himself and then goes ham in Perpetual Limit Break for the last third of the fight, which is what happens in the original version.
Yeah, it's like like fighting Clive he's just basically another enemy. Like there's nothing all that much special about him. It's the narrative things around it.
Yeah, like the press the press L3 and R3 to accept the truth prompt. That's still like one of my favorite bits in the game. Without that, the fight is not particularly interesting. Aside from the bit at the very end where they both turn into Ifrit and punch each other. I think.
Yeah, that's okay.
And of course, that doesn't happen in this version of the fight either. So, yeah, it's just like not interesting at all.
Well, at least there's that ice guy. That boss actually looks really good.
Yeah.
All right. So what would you rate this
The
DLC?
Leviathan fight is pretty good. It's like the Leviathan fight is pretty good.
I thought you said you didn't like it.
No, I think it was fine. It's just
Oh,
difficult.
Okay. Oh, okay. You know what? I didn't think Leviathan was big enough.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Leviathan, it's literally an adjective for big. It's up there with Titanic. Titan in this game was as big as like a mountain, like literally as big as a mountain. Like he was miles high. He was a kaiju. Yeah. Like you're a kaiju as Ifrit. He's a kaiju to a kaiju. And meanwhile, Leviathan, I mean, he's bigger than Ifrit, but like he's not that big. It's not like Sin big. I was thinking he would like wrap around the entire world, and you get some like ridiculous.
It does not reach the high. It does not reach the highs of Titan and Bahamut. Those are the two best fights in the game, while Omega and Leviathan are both interesting challenges, neither of them really compete with those two from the main story.
Yeah, you can kind of tell this DLC was made something on a budget. Which, yeah, I guess you could accept.
I mean, the entire game was clearly.
Yeah.
Like this was clearly an attempt to not have a game that goes all out and eats the entire budget, which, hey, it worked. It drew a profit pretty much immediately after release. But it does mean that there's a lot that they could have done that would have made it a lot better, honestly.
Yeah.
It is like the most hyped 7 out of 10 that ever existed.
Yeah. It's definitely a 7 out of 10 game, and that's not the worst thing in the world. It could be a 6 out of 10. Could be a 5 out of 10.
That's still a good game. It's just there's a lot of people out there who seem to think that anything less than 11 out of 10 means it's the spawn of Satan. It's not. It's a perfectly serviceable video game that might have been damaged by the fact that it's on the PS5 price tier. Like, was it worth what, the $70? I think a lot of people would say no.
I think for me, it's more like there's so many games out there, and a lot of them look so cool. And it's like, all right, I'm going to be able to play like maybe 12 of them in a year if I have the time. And it's like, all right, this is one of my 12 games I get to play, and it's okay. It's like, oh, well, I guess I got to wait 5-6 years for Final Fantasy XVII. But luckily, that's not really an issue, because they released the next Final Fantasy game within 6 months. It was called Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it was really good.
Yeah, like this isn't a case with like 15, where the more they did with 15, the more I ended up hating the game. This is just a case where it's basically just completely reaffirmed my fact that it is just consistently fine. It is not on the tier of 7 Rebirth. It is not on the tier of this writing team's previous work, which is Heavensward. It is just a completely acceptable game that aside from the soundtrack, which is really good, is not like high tier remarkable.
I'd say 7 Rebirth soundtrack was better too. I don't like 16 have anything. I'm not.
Yeah, but I'm not comparing those. I'm saying it's good. I'm not saying it's the best ever.
I know, but like
because there are not just as the game as a whole, but I can point to specific albums that are part of the Final Fantasy XIV OST that I'd say are better.
Yeah, my standard for JRPG music, and like I love JRPG music. It's one of my main music genres. Is the game soundtrack is really good if I ever listen to the music outside of the game, and I have never done that for 16.
I've listened to Find the Flame a few times.
I've listened to Final Fantasy 15 music more, actually. There's some good tracks on 15 soundtrack. And 13, I've listened to that because, Crazy Chocobo, of course. The greatest song in the entirety of Final Fantasy VII OST.
So great that it came back in 7 Rebirth.
Yeah. Did I say Final Fantasy VII's OST? I mean, all of Final Fantasy. There's never been music better than Crazy Chocobo. So I guess that closes the book on Final Fantasy XVI. We've been talking about it for like 4 years, and that's the end. We're never going to talk about this game ever again.
Yeah, PC version.
Oh, yeah, I guess that will happen. But it's not like what's going to happen is like one day Yoshi P will have a press conference about the future of Final Fantasy XVI and announce that there is no future and he's quitting. You know? Like Tabata did.
That is actually the most embarrassing thing that's actually happened to this fucking series.
You know what? 15 was the gift that never stopped giving, really. Like, every part of it, when you think back, it's just hysterical.
Yeah, but the question is, did we really want any of these gifts?
You know, we survived it. We survived what has to be the darkest period possible for this franchise.
God, there are just so many things I can go back to and point at just how fucking stupid they are. Like remember there's like pre-order on Steam and you get Gordon Freeman's outfit in the multiplayer DLC. There's that fucking Assassin's Creed crossover with the Assassin's Creed side of it having the most fucked up camel to have ever existed.
Oh yeah, the Chocobo camel with 6 legs.
Yeah, it's like God, there is like there's pretty much just every side project of 15 being a disaster. It's like, oh my God, that is like 15 is just a joke, frankly. Like I try not to be too much vile towards it, but I cannot at this point think of anything good that 15 did anymore. Like, it just collapsed into one giant, complete fucking mess that affected the company for a decade plus.
I would agree with you, if not for the fact I did a podcast last year with some of our friends who were like, you know what, revisiting 15, there's actually some cool stuff in terms of, like, the boy, like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, quartet that you form with your characters. Wait, you know, I'm using hardcore Stephen King lingo, like the boy friendship group that you build. You have no idea what a quartet is, right?
No.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so we don't need to get into the cosmology of Stephen King, but I mean, they do reference Stand By Me, so maybe, you know what? I might have to ask Nomura one day if he knows what a quartet is. Not important, but like, you know, like the melodrama of that game, people seem to really like Noctis and what, Stella? Is that her name? No,
Stella is the version that Tabata decided he could do better.
Yeah, the version that...
And then he very obviously did not do better.
Yeah, the Luna Freya, there you go. That's still one of the most... Like, of all the mysteries of Final Fantasy 15, that is the thing that drives me crazy to this day, is what the hell happened with this character that you decided to rewrite and rename, and like... It's not that you just rewrite her, because like that happens all the time. Every character gets rewritten a billion different times. Like there was once a version of Final Fantasy VII where Vincent Valentine was Fox Mulder from the X-Files.
Yeah,
it's not like
like Nomura sometimes fucks up. He's not perfect, but I can look at the history of what Tabata delivered to the series. He did the original version of Crisis Core. He did Type 0. He did 15. And I can compare to Nomura's track record of making really fun action games with sometimes questionable plots. And if you ask me who I think would have had the better vision for 15/versus 13, yeah, obviously it's going to be Nomura.
I like Type 0, by the way. I just want to put that out there. I think that was actually a decent game, and that had a great ending. That had a better ending than 15 if you want bittersweet catastrophes, tragedies. But what I was saying...
I've just tried multiple times and I cannot get into it at all.
I understand that. There are many decisions in that game that make me honestly wonder what in the hell they were thinking. Like, truly. But what I was saying with Lunafreya and Stella, it's like, it's not that you rewrote the character, it's that you erased the character and created a new one in her place. And it's
right.
Like, was that like Nomura was so annoyed with you for fridging the main heroine that he had this plan with? That he like, no, I'm saving her. She's going into my box. I'm going to use her in Kingdom Hearts 4. Or will we never ever know what those original plans were?
There has to be something that... like, there has to be documentation of a bunch of the dumb shit that went on in that decade that I'm sure nearly every party involved does not want to see the light of day.
This is it. Like, if I could ever ask anyone at Square Enix anything that went on, I would be asking Nomura, what was your original vision for that game, and how did it get so fucked? And when are we going to get the musical version?
Yeah, and how much of Kingdom Hearts 4 is going to be based on it?
And where is Kingdom Hearts 4? It's been 2 years now. Not one mention of it.
Yeah, and they've got to be shown something eventually, because what is on Square Enix's horizon? Like their next big, like, just in their big release things, like, no matter how quickly 7 Part 3 happens, that's definitely not happening until at least 2027. Like that's basically as fast as they could possibly put that out. Dragon Quest 12 has just completely disappeared since the announcement. Kingdom Hearts 4 has completely disappeared since the announcement. Final Fantasy 17 hasn't.
I got one better for you for
yet.
Dragon Quest. Dragon Quest 3 3D, the 2.5D.
Completely disappeared since announcement. Yeah.
That's been like 5 years now, I think. When was that originally announced? We have to find out. Oh man, what?
That was an anniversary event. So.
I know, but that was a long time ago. A real long time ago.
Like, I'm pretty sure that's the same time they announced 12.
Let's see. This is a press site. That's not going to tell me anything. Now, I'm trying to see when was that originally announced. There's some things from 20... Oh, man. This could be a while ago. Announcement. Like, I believe in Dragon Quest 12 taking forever and ever, because that's just how Dragon Quest games are.
Mm-hmm.
Like my point looks like 2 years ago.
Gotta be longer than that.
It does feel like it was longer than that. Yeah. Oh, wait, no. 3 years ago now. 2021. May 2021 was when it was originally announced.
My point is that it feels like there's got to be something happening that usually that, like, Square Enix historically has not been that silent about these things. Like, I think I think they kind of responded to the versus 13-15 thing by trying to hold off revealing things for as long as possible. But then you have, like, the other directors saying, no, I want to head off rumors of the past. I want to show this thing once we started working on it.
I can show you the... Oh, here we are. There's a NA Press Square Enix website with their current release schedule. So, Dawn Trail is summer 2024. Octopath Traveler 2 for PC and Xbox.
Well, that's already out.
Oh, that already came... But no, that's for PC and Xbox. Is coming out sometime this year.
Yeah, that's already...
Oh, that already came out?
Octopath 2, I'm pretty sure that's already out on PC. I thought it launched on PC.
I think it only came out on Switch originally.
Let me...
I don't believe it would be here if it had not announced. It seems like they've mostly kept
25th February 2023. I'm pretty sure that was that same as Switch.
I don't think so. Maybe it's only the Xbox version. This is exciting radio, isn't it? As we stop to look up this fucking shit. Yeah, on Steam. Let's see. It is out on Steam right now. Yeah, Octopath Traveler 2. Okay.
Like, I'm pretty sure that press site doesn't update, because if it just gives like a season for Dawn Trail, when you go to the front page of our wiki and it will tell you right there that patch 7.0 on June 28th, formal release date July 2.
Yeah, all right, fine. So maybe this is not 100% trustworthy. Like, has Final Fantasy 13? They're saying a PC release. Has that happened? That must have happened
ages
right?
ago.
Yeah, so that's weird that that's on here.
Who is
keeping track of this?
I'll put it in, see what the thing says. But yeah, that was
Visions. There's a Mana game, but I thought that already came out.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 13 on Steam, 9th October 2014. Visions of Mana is later this year.
Okay, all right, so that actually is later this year. What the hell is Project Hikari? This can't still exist. This is for the Oculus Rift.
The what? I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of this either.
The game.
Featuring the manga series Tales of the Wedding Rings, Project Hikari is an immersive virtual reality experience that adapts existing manga into a fully modeled 3D world through state-of-the-art VR technology. I'm glad they used the word virtual reality twice in here, in the same sentence. Well done. The experience combines Japanese voice acting as seen in anime, use of hand-drawn manga. Was this written by AI? Yeah, whatever. It's 3D and 2D black and white art to offer a unique way for readers to experience storytelling like never before. I don't know what this is. This is from 2017, this announcement. This game was canceled a long time ago. This is not a real thing.
Like aside from Dawn Trail, because that's coming out in 2 months, I feel like we don't know anything about anything they've said they're working on.
Bubble Bobble 4 Friends, The Baron is Back. This was announced in 2021. Has this game not ever come out? Apparently, does Square Enix own Taito now, by the way?
Yeah, they've owned Taito for ages.
Okay. Bubble Bobble 4 Friends is a platform arcade. This game came out a long time ago. Yeah, this launched in 2021. I don't know why it's still on this list. All right, so Square Enix of North America, can you please fix your website? Because this is wildly inaccurate. Maybe I could use Wikipedia's list of Square Enix games. People might actually update that more and find out what's actually happening. I mean, we are coming up close to quote unquote E3 times, so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll probably get something at Jeff Keighley, the Doritos Pope, in his sermon.
Oh, by the way, Octopath Traveler 2 has not come out on Xbox yet. It was only PC.
That's weird.
Yeah. Looks like... Well, who the hell is going to play this game on Xbox is the real question. Nobody.
Well, sure, but unless someone secures exclusivity, they seem like they want to release on everything, so...
Yeah, so it looks like Visions of Mana is their upcoming game, and Kingdom Hearts 4 and Dragon Quest 12. That's really it. Those are the upcoming games. Oh, and 14, you know.
Yeah, that's like... and if Visions of Mana is anything like the previous Mana game, it is going to have a very big game vibe. Like, I think you saw me talk about as in Yoon's server a few times. I played Trials of Mana recently, and it was okay, but the ending fell off hard. Just... Like, no, I don't think anyone's playing that game for the story, so don't care about that. But like, what was the final boss in the original version in the remake is a complete pushover, and then the true final boss has a bunch of shit that the AI just completely can't avoid, which just means that you're going to effectively solo that final boss because you can only carry in 9 revival items into any given fight. And it just felt like all that endgame stuff just felt bad.
I never played a mana game in all this time. I think I have the SNES mana game on my SNES Classic, but I don't think I'm ever actually going to play it. You know what Square Enix needs to remake? I'm going to tell them. It'll solve all their financial problems. Remake Terranigma.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great game. There you are. All the Zoomers and the TikTokers, before TikTok gets banned, they're all going to be talking about Terranigma. That game will sell, let's say conservatively, 500 million copies. If you release it on the Switch 2. Maybe that's the problem. It's like the Switch 2 is coming out, so it's not like they have their, dumping ground like the Switch has been, or like reliably.
Yeah, I guess, and frankly, that feels like it should have been announced by now. Like, Nintendo seems to be extremely dragging their heels on that. There is no secret. There have been a ton of court filings that have revealed secrets of all of the big three because of all the dumb Activision shit. We know you're working on something. We know it has to be nearly done because the Switch is 7 years old and can barely run anything anymore. Just fucking tell us already.
Yeah. It seems like maybe the entire industry is like... simultaneously, it's like a million games are going to come out all at once, and then I don't know what's happening anywhere at any time. Like, what's Sony making right now? Who knows? They must be making something. Last of Us 3 has to be coming at some point, but...
Yeah, it's weird, because even Sony's been pretty much like, we've got pretty much nothing this year. Like,
I guess they did announce that. They're like, sorry.
Looks like they've blown the entire year's load on Helldivers 2 and having exclusivity for Rebirth.
Yeah, we don't got games, but we do have another console. Nobody wants it. There's no reason for it. The developers don't want us to make it, but it's going to happen anyway.
At least they're doing better than Microsoft.
Yep. This time next year, the Xbox could be dead entirely for all I know. Right. So we kind of turned the last half hour of this podcast into rambling nonsense, so we might as well wrap up then, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
We don't really have a point anymore. Unless we want to talk about the election. Yeah.
God, no.
That's going to be fun. Yeah, everyone's excited about that election. Oh, boy. All right. The Broncos have a new quarterback. There's that.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So I'm actually going to wrap this thing up because it is 9 o'clock my time, so I should probably start going to sleep because I'm old now. So this podcast is the Final Fantasy Wiki Podcast. I'm your host, BlueHighwind. I'm your producer, BlueHighwind. I'm something else. Oh. BlueHighwind, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm. The podcast... Yeah. Yes? Yes, dear?
What?
You were saying something.
Say it's just that, like, that for some reason the thing your audio cut out for an extended period of time there, so just everything sounded weird.
Oh, that happens non-stop for me. I have to edit them out. Anyway, I will fix that, I think. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Who cares? It's the end of the podcast. No one's listening anymore. The podcast music is La Montaña de los Jovenes Caballeros by XPRTNovice. You'll hear the ending of it. You will not hear the normal opening. If you do want to hear the normal opening, come back at the end of May when we'll be talking about something. Who knows? Something. Is that exciting? Something. All right, I'm going to go to bed. Good night.
Yeah!